Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Elevate. My name is Jessica.
My name is Darwin.
And today we're going to be talking about, should your man help you with house chores if he is the sole provider of the house?
Absolutely not. Why the long face?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of men think that being a stay-at-home mom or a housewife is easy work.
It is.
It really isn't.
It absolutely is.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Nah, all right. I just needed to suck you in.
So you think that they should help?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because I
mean, of course, this is not going to make a good debate for you now, but we're going to give you our opinion as to why. Me as a man, I'm going to give you an opinion as to why I feel like the man should help.
Okay, so you start.
Why I feel like the man should help?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, yeah, you're the sole provider, but that doesn't mean that, like, you don't get tired, right? Or, like, that if you have kids, like, that your kids should see that you come home from work, and even if you're out working all day and, like, you can't throw out the garbage or, like, you can't pick up.
Just something.
Yeah, exactly.
Small. Sometimes, like, as a stay-at-home mom, I've always said this, and I can go back to, like, my younger years. And the main reason why I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom was because I realized that being a stay-at-home mom is much more work than me actually going to work. Okay? Let's get that very clear. On top of the fact that I grew up in a society that kept pushing in my head that I had to be an independent woman. Yeah. Which I've spoken about on my venting sessions. Mm-hmm. So if you have done both, you know for a fact that being a stay-at-home mom is 100 times more work than actually going to work. It's so draining on so many different levels, and depending on how many children you have, it just gets more and more draining.
Especially if you have, like, kids that are, let's say, 6 and under, or any kid that's just home, period, throughout
all
the day,
day.
and it's not going to school.
Right.
Boy, the amount of times Armani has to clean his rooms in the weekend, I don't understand it.
I don't either. And it's just very draining on us as women, or as a man if you're a stay-at-home dad. But the person who stays at home with the children, that is a hell of a job.
Yeah.
And whoever is a sole provider should be appreciative of that person who stays at home, because at the end of the day, if you have children and that mom or that dad is the one staying at home because you're the sole provider, they're helping you.
But I
because
feel like
otherwise you would have to pay a babysitter, and your mind wouldn't be as free and as at peace when you leave your kids with their mom as if you leave them with a stranger. It's not the same thing.
But I feel like that happens the most in, like, middle to lower class, because I feel like people that are
What happens?
That the man doesn't have to do anything.
That they feel like they don't have to. Mm-hmm.
Higher class, from what I see, again, I'm not in the higher class, so, but
So what are you talking about now?
Yeah, well, from what I see online, I mean, we discussed this in a previous episode, like what people portray online, right? Like, it doesn't seem like the person who's grinding out the most is coming home and, like, complaining all the time. But obviously we don't see this either online, so I don't know, maybe I'm just talking crap right now.
I also think that.
Do you get what I'm saying though? No,
not really.
All right.
I also think that. Let me just say, I also think that. No.
What do you think,
Let me
Jessica?
stop.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. I also think that the dad or the mom, whoever it is that goes outside, but let's say in most cases is usually the man that leaves to go to work, and leaves the wife at home with the kids. Your kids should also see that you're a team.
Yeah.
I also feel like when you come home, you shouldn't just lay down and watch TV and not interact with your children, because they're your children too.
Yeah.
They're not just her children. It's not her job to raise children by herself, because you both made them. they're both your responsibilities. It just so happens that you're the one who chose to provide for the family, and that's great. Somebody has to provide.
Yep.
Somebody has to bring in that money. But that doesn't exclude you. It shouldn't exclude you from being a present dad or a present mom.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that there is a stay-at-home parent doesn't make that parent less valuable. If anything, that parent that's staying at home is extremely valuable, and you guys should realize how valuable this is. The fact that you can come home and there's a meal for you. The fact that you can come home and you don't have to worry about what your kids are going to eat because that person has already thought about that. The fact that you come home and maybe the kids have already bathed. Or maybe that's something that you do when you come home, whatever it is. But fact of the matter is that the person that's staying at home is doing way much more of the house chores and stuff because they're there more than you are. And so it shouldn't be such a hard thing or such a big, huge task for you to chime in when you get home to make your wife or your husband feel appreciated.
Yeah, and I also feel like if you have little kids too, that time when you get home is like you should be going all out because that child is building a relationship with the mother or the dad, whoever's staying in the home all day.
Right.
Like, so obviously that child's probably going to be more attached to that person.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's your job to not that it's a competition, but you know, you have like you have to fill that you have to fill that gap that you've been missing. So if you just get home and feel like, okay, like my dinner's served, like I can eat, go take a shower and go to bed because I gotta go provide tomorrow. I mean, unless you're working like an extremely hardcore job that you just get home and you're like,
I mean, and it's okay for you to come home and be tired sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, I get that. But for you to come home every day and just be dismissive and not appreciate what that other parent is doing at home is a very messed up move.
Yeah. Like, not say thank you. Like, I'll bring this up, for example, like with my parents. So before they separated, divorce and all that. Well, divorce, no, because they wasn't married. But before they separated, my father was a super and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So he'll be working in the building all day, but then he'll come down and like his breakfast had to be there, his lunch had to be there, his dinner had to be there, right? But it was always like it had to be there. Like it wasn't like, thank you for having this here for me. Like, thank you for doing what you're doing. Like, even though I'm working, at least I can come down and say like, damn, I have a nice home-cooked meal for me. So it was more like she was his personal chef than his actual partner.
I understand.
It was like, okay, it's 12 o'clock and that she was at the table at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's exactly why a lot of my generation, millennials, all the ones of us who are in like our 30s now, that's why a lot of us have that, I'm going to say trauma, even though I don't know if that's what you would call it, but
it is trauma.
We have that in us. Growing up, we had this mentality like we had to become independent women because if not, like we didn't want to be our mom. Yeah. And how shameful is that? I don't want my daughter to feel that way. If anything, I want my daughter to see, which she does, and I'm so proud to say this, and I hope that she feels extremely proud as she grows up to say, my parents love each other. Yeah. My parents, like, I grew up in a loving home.
She'll see us hugging and be like, what you doing?
You know, I really want that, you know. That makes me very emotional.
She gonna cry. We're gonna just cut the audio and just like zoom into your eyes slowly. Put a soft song.
Yeah, but that to me is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
I want my daughter to say, I want
what my mom and dad have. It's kind of like, again, a previous episode we had. Again, if you guys are watching this podcast, if we just came across your Explore page and you just happened, we post a podcast every Monday at 6 p.m. We have conversations like this. Sometimes we have guests that share their stories, and we go into a whole bunch of things. You can go back and watch us. If you're driving, you can listen to us on any podcast platform, any audio platform. Elevate by Jessica and Darwin. And sometimes we just post family vlogs. Sometimes she posts her venting videos, just her venting. So, like, just hit subscribe and join the family. We will appreciate it. But So from previous episode, I had mentioned that I was scared to post a lot of family stuff because I didn't want my friends or older friends that to kind of judge what I was posting or like that I made it in a sense, right? But it goes back to you saying like you love to see that Zena's gonna grow up and see that she had a happy family.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like growing up, like I had no blueprint, right? Like I saw what I told you, like my mom was my dad's personal chef, for example, or assistant. I'm gonna say that assistant and a person who gave birth to us. That's what she was, because I never personally saw them hugging, kissing, like unless it may be a major event that like New Year's or a birthday party, maybe. Right. So I don't have that memory of seeing them. I do have the memory of like them going through divorce, going through domestic violence and like separating, like all of that stuff I remember, but I don't remember the good stuff. So me not having a blueprint, like when I transitioned into like becoming a man and like I found a partner, like I didn't know what being a good husband was. And I also didn't see it from anybody else. So for me, initially, like that's why we had a rough patch, because all I grew up around was just seeing that everywhere. Right. So then until I told myself like I didn't want to see that. Oh shit, I'm getting emotional. Oh shit. Right. So I didn't want my kids to see that. So I had to like man up pretty much, right? So yeah.
Okay.
We had two crying episodes, right? So I had to man up and do it, but like it's true, like I did it for a reason because
and
I didn't
I'm
want.
so proud of you.
Thank
You're
you.
doing it with flying colors.
Thank you. So I didn't want my kids to go through that. Like I wanted them to grow up, and you can, I mean, you're witness. Like when Armani when you gave birth to Armani, that's when I was like, yo, I need to really get my shit together. Because before that, it was just like, it is what it is. Like we was together, we was young.
Yeah.
Freaking 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
So you already know.
You were great, but I just feel like you were being like swayed by the group of people you were around. And I knew, but like I felt it. Like I felt it because our conversations were very different. Like that's why I chose to move in with you. That's why I chose to have a child with you, because I felt safe with you based on the conversations and the goals you had for the future. Yeah. And when I saw that you were going through that rough patch, that's why I told you then and there, you're going to have to choose.
Yeah.
Because I'm not willing to stay in a relationship where I'm not being valued, where I'm not being heard, where you're going to take your friend's opinion about something or how they feel over how I feel when I am going to be your wife. We were engaged at that point. Choose, because I know my value.
But again, to go back, like that, even that group of friends or even the friends before that, like none of them had the blueprint as to what being actually happy was.
They were as lost as you were.
Right? Happy to us back then was like being in a club, being out, doing whatever we wanted. Like that was happiness. Now for me, that's not happiness, right? Like my values changed. So I don't know where we went into this, but well, yeah, it goes back to like not letting your kids see that, and we want to push out that content. Like I want to push it out because I want people to see like it's okay. Like even though you don't have the blueprint and you didn't grow up like that, you can always make the switch.
Right, you can. And just because you grew up in an environment that wasn't very favoring or wasn't the best, that doesn't mean you have to keep repeating that cycle.
And it's not easy. Like I feel like we mentioned this a lot. Like it's not easy. We don't have it figured out. Like we still struggle with stuff. Like I'm still trying to be a better dad. I feel like I don't have that relationship of like that I see online with other fathers. Right. Like I don't even know if that's true or they're portraying. But.
I mean, I personally, if you ask me, I think you're a great dad you had no guidance whatsoever. And I think, I'm not just saying this to say this, you are a great dad.
Yeah, I know. I'm absolutely a great dad.
There are things that, I point out. If I have something to say, I'm saying it. I'm not keeping it to myself. The one thing I don't do is say it in front of the kids.
Yeah.
Like, I won't call them out on something that I think was wrong in front of them, because we are a team.
Yeah.
But I will pull them to the side and say, like, I don't know, I think you were a little bit too harsh about that. Or, I think that you shouldn't speak to them like this because you don't want them to keep stuff away from you. You don't want them to fear you. You want them to respect you, but not fear you. I say things like that because I also went through that kind of experience myself, like with my dad. I love my dad. Nothing against my dad. But now that I'm an adult, I realized that as I was growing up as a kid, I feared my dad more than I respected my dad. I mean, no, I respected him. But there was so much fear because of like the little, like regaños,
like correction when I really could.
Right, that he would do. Like, my dad is the type of person, like, he also didn't have a blueprint. He really didn't have a present dad either. So he was also doing, what he thought was right. And his way of like correcting me was very like abrupt. It was very
tough, like tough love.
Yeah. And me, I was very sentimental, like as a kid. Like, my dad would scream at me, I'm crying. Like, I felt like it was the end of the world. Like, my dad just screamed at me. Like, it was that serious. And I still feel like I'm a little like that. You know, I'm like sentimental when it comes to the people that I really love, like speaking to me in a bad way. Yeah. Like, it really hurts my feelings. Like, people,
because it makes you feel bad, like you did something really, really
like
bad.
People I don't know, like I can brush it off, but like people that I really love, like when they talk to me like with a bad tone, like it really gets to my heart. But as a child, that was also like that, and he was very like that kind of like corrector. Like he would like scream, ah! And because of that, I feared him, and I don't think it should be that way.
Yeah. Because
then, if there was anything, I wouldn't go to my dad. Yeah. Like, he wasn't the first person I would go to confide things in. Like, no. I mean, honestly, not even my mom, unfortunately. But if I had to choose between the two, I would have gone to my mom first.
And it's so difficult because, like, again, it goes back to the blueprint. Like, we've never seen it. Like, we can hear about it now because there's social media. And, like, you can watch other, like, therapists or talk about, like, how you should approach them. And some are too sensitive and too soft. But
yeah, I'm somewhat in between when it comes to parenting. Yeah. You know, I don't think that you should be so like lenient with everything. I feel like we are our children's manual to life, and so they need to learn that everything doesn't go their way and that there's consequences. You know, in my book of parenting, I don't believe in you just do whatever you want.
Yeah, like you're not gonna go through life and people are just gonna be like, okay, listen, this is how, like, I need to fire you. Like, I'm sorry, but I need to fire you.
Right. We live in a competitive world, and if my child is going to survive in a competitive world, they need to be ready.
Yeah.
They need to be ready to take it on. You can't shelter your kid so much, in my opinion. That's not going to work. Your child is going to go downhill if you shelter them too much, because the world is tough, and we all know this, right?
Yes. This video went totally
right. How did we start this conversation?
Should a man help clean?
All right, so so yeah, I feel like the partner who is being the sole provider should always help when it comes to house things as well, because we're not robots. Yeah. We're not robots, and if anything, we should feel appreciated, you know, as the stay-at-home parent. Just because that person isn't working and bringing you money physically, they're saving you money. Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say this. I was on a live, and there's a family man that I now came across from the Tilleries. Love the Tilleries, right? Is it Troy or Trey? I think it's Trey, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, but he was on a live with Wall Street Trapper. Yo, Wall Street Trapper got like 700 shout outs on this podcast. But he was telling Trap that he sees himself as a server to his wife, right? And I related, like, as he was saying, I'm like, and he broke it down, like, why he feels that way. And I was like, damn, like, I feel like I'm a server to my wife, right? Like, anything that she needs or wants, like, I feel, even if I'm not the sole provider, like, financially, because she's still working, obviously, I still feel like I need to do whatever it takes for you to be happy, right? Like I can live on whatever, like egg and cheese in the morning. Like I'm fine with that.
It's true.
Right? But I can have a regular ass breakfast and I'm over here giving her avocado toast with like an egg and red pepper flakes. And or if I cook, like I'll eat out the bowl because I'm hungry and I just like serve her a nice ass plate. Right? I just feel like I'm her server. And not because like you don't ask that from me.
No.
But it's just like my instinct. Like I need to.
And you also know that that's like my love language. Like I love when you do that. So I feel like it makes you happy to do it because you know I love it.
And even I feel like for my kids too, like today I bought something for Amani and she's telling me like, yo, you need to buy stuff for you. Like you need clothes, you need this. Mm-hmm. And like I'll go shopping and I'll literally be like, oh, this is nice for me. And I'll check out everything for them. Right? Because I just feel like I need to serve them. But yeah, like so like he said that message and I feel like that relates to like, should you help? Right? Like you should always be the server. So and always help your wife. Because you're like it's a partnership.
Right. I feel like for every couple it's probably gonna be different. But just you have to get to know your partner.
When is it different though? Like when is the man not the server? Like when shouldn't you be the server? Like you should always attend to your wife.
I don't think everybody's like you.
Why though? Like so then don't put yourself on a king, because if you're a king, then you have a queen under you, right? Wherever it is.
Like that.
If it's like an actual king, you have the queen. If you're a lion, you have the lioness, right? Always. And the king is a provider. Well, not really, because usually in the lion pack, the females do the hunting and the lion eats first.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
Anyways, we're not lions.
I'm a king, but
no, but that's good. I mean, I think a lot of men would agree with you in that sentiment, you know, that they feel that way as well, that they like to be the provider, they like to be the server to their wife, they like to make their wife feel like queens. But that may be different for some couples. It might be the other way around, which is fine. But
now, do you want her to feel the queen and have her like tied up? Like I want you to feel like I spoil you so much and do so much for you that whatever I say goes, period. Like that the person will give so much to the partner that they feel like they don't need to help because I give you so much that I could just come home and do whatever I want.
I still feel like you shouldn't feel that way because it's your family.
Oh no, I don't. I understand.
You should want to spend time with your family. You should want to make your family feel appreciated. You should want to make your wife or her husband feel seen. So I feel like it's very selfish when a man or a woman who's a provider would come home and just sit back and relax and just act like they live alone. Yeah. For that, just be single. That goes back to the reason why some females, mostly, a lot of them don't want to be in a relationship. They don't want to get married because they're afraid of that. They're afraid of getting with someone who will then make them feel like a maid more than a partner. And that isn't fair in any scenario. If you have a partner who helps you out and she is a stay-at-home mom or he is a stay-at-home dad, you should never take advantage of the other person. Whether the person is providing money or providing a service for your family, they should feel appreciated because a marriage is a partnership. You guys shouldn't feel taken advantage of by the other person. You guys should feel like a team. And when things work in that way, when you have a man who comes home and he wants to know how you're doing and he wants to know if you're tired, what can he do to lift the load from your shoulder? Believe me, that woman is going to go above and beyond. She's going to do whatever she needs to do as a wife to keep you happy as well. Because you are making her feel seen. You are making her feel safe. You are making her feel heard. But if you don't do that, how do you expect your woman to be happy, to smile 24/7 when she has little rugrats running around all day? She hasn't had time to have a shower in peace. She hasn't had time for herself in a long time. She's just been cleaning and has been feeling like a maid all day. And here you come home and you want her to welcome you with open arms, you know, and hi, baby, how was your day at work? What do you want to eat? It's not reasonable, it's not going to happen. We're human and we all have needs. So just be respectful and appreciate your partner.
We'll leave it right there. Thank you so much for watching. If you follow us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like this video. All our podcasts are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And yeah, all our links are down below if you guys want to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. That's it for today's video.
That's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for watching. If you're here on YouTube, don't forget to hit the bell so you can be notified every time we post a video. We're going to be coming with some vlogs, so stay tuned. We're going to be hitting you guys with some different content this year, not just podcast. So stay tuned for that. And if you're here on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, don't forget to leave your reviews. And until next time.
Peace.
That was good.
That was good.
That was really good. I like that episode.